You know what? This list was actually really hard to write. That's a good thing. I mean, sure, I only really watched 2 promotions, WWE and AEW, and both those have gone through a hell of a year behind the scenes. Big departures, big drama, tribalist rage and adoration in spades. But in terms of on-screen product, it's been a pretty damn good year. But we've already covered the good stuff last week, and on this day, this very Christmas day, I'm afraid you've all been naughty. I mean, look at you. You're wrestling fans. So Blampied Claus has brought you all stockings, stuffed to the brim with lumps of coal, and no give-backsies. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and here are 10 worst pay-per-view matches of 2022. And if you haven't seen it already and want to see, you know, the nice version of this list, check out our 10 best ones. We did it last week. Watch it. Number 10, Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey, SummerSlam. Bloody hell, it's been a year for old Ronnie. I don't think it's necessarily indicative of the skill set of the baddest woman on the planet, but one thing's for certain, Ronda Rousey's not a ring general yet, and when she hasn't been wrestling Charlotte, who is, her matches have all been super awkward, with a lack of chemistry and cohesion severely dimming Ronda's star power, and honestly, that's a shame. Not so much for the multi-millionaire conspiracy theorists, more for the people who work with her. The person hurt the most by working with Ronnie this year is Liv Morgan, who got a wonderful underdog victory moment, cashing in her briefcase on the night that she won it, you know, because you can't hold on to the women's briefcase for more than 24 hours, apparently. But then after that, the fans turned on her, largely down to this match, which A, wasn't very good, and B, saw former pure babyface Liv Morgan essentially weasel her way out of a title defense, and the audience let Liv know about it. Poor Liv. The Extreme Rules match wasn't very good either, but at least she's got more character now. She's mad, you see. Number 9, Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, Elimination Chamber. I mean, at this point, how can anyone be disappointed in a Bill Goldberg Saudi Arabia match? They take place in a dark timeline full of bizarre title changes, hot young stars suddenly being very bad at wrestling, and The Undertaker nearly dying. This match wasn't as bad as any of them, but it was still far from blockbuster. I am personally very cross they didn't do the 2 men running into each other for the double spear spot. What we got was just a bit meh. It's dull walk and brawl for half the match on the outside, 2 spears, and then a submission finish after 6 minutes. I mean, I suppose I don't know if I wanted 10 minutes of Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, but maybe I didn't want any Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. Maybe that's the point. Maybe just no more Saudi Goldberg. That would be fine. Number 8, the Usos versus Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura, WrestleMania 38. Oh man, this is no one's fault, but this match fell apart hard. I'm not exactly sure how you pull a good match out of thin air when one of the 4 competitors gets injured and has to be carried out. We've already covered this moment in the most insane injuries of 2022 list, but at WrestleMania Night 1, the very first match of WWE's 2-part WrestleMania no less, Rick Boogs attempted a power display spot, hoisting both Usos up on his shoulders. For a second, it looked as though the love child of Tom Selleck and the Red M&M had accomplished the spot before his legs buckled underneath him and he fell to the mat, clutching his very much torn quad. The rest of the match is a scramble to make something happen and hurriedly pin Shinsuke Nakamura in less than 7 minutes. What a shame. Number 7, Jade Cargill versus Athena, All Out. It's really hard to work out how I feel about Jade Cargill. She's undeniably a star, and people in wrestling history have been bigger stars with a smaller skill set. But gee golly jeepers, the Jade Cargill match is reliably one of the worst on almost every AEW card. Her matches against Tay Conti and Anna Jay were both flat and fairly disjointed, but her match at All Out is the real disappointment. Her versus the once former Ember Moon could have been great. The wrestler now known as Athena certainly had the buzz of accomplishment with her when she arrived, but it's bad. A bunch of blown or awkward spots performed in front of a crowd that were exhausted from the Elite versus Dark Order. Don't get me wrong, AEW want their own Goldberg, and Jade Cargill certainly has the presence of young Goldberg, but hasn't quite nailed the whole exciting match bit of the equation. Number 6, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks, All Out. This was the wrong call. All Out is going to go down in history as a cursed show for a number of reasons, namely to do with this muffin lover, but there was also a few dodgy matches that went a head-scratching direction. The ladder match had a horribly flat finish. We've already talked about Athena Cargill, and then there's this, a match with a pretty damn good build, over before it could really build up a head of steam, with Ricky Starks losing to a spinebuster, which hasn't been a believable finisher in a long time. 5 minutes these boys got. 2 young stars with bright futures, unlike Darby Allin and MJF, who got 20 minutes at Full Gear last year. This was over before you knew it, with people's favorite Ricky Starks being knocked off with ease. This is not what people wanted, and like, I get that you don't want all 15 of the night's matches to go long, but maybe in that case, don't book 15 matches, Tony. At least their lights out rematch slapped. Number 5, Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee, WrestleMania 38. I mean, I don't really know about this one. I had a blast watching this match, but mostly because I was laughing at how ridiculously bad and weird it was to see Pat McAfee wrestle a match against what would happen if Dean Ambrose tripped and fell 80 years forward through time. Like, from an objective standpoint, this match is awful. Vince winning a match against someone who just won an important match of their career via a Simpsons football to slightly above the groin, and then the old ass man goes on to take the worst Stone Cold Stunner of all time. Like, it's garbage, but after being beaten into submission by the same matches over and over and over again, at least it's surprising funny garbage. Goodbye, Vince, you mental old coffin dodger. Number 4, Bobby Lashley versus Omos. Take your fucking pick. 3 pay-per-view matches between Bobby Lashley and Great Khali 2 Electric Boogaloo, and all of them are wanker cocktails. I mean, I suppose Bobby Lashley won most of them, but on the other hand, sad trombone sound effect. I guess it resulted in Bobby Lashley hot potatoing MVP onto Omos, MVP standing for Most Valuable Potato, freeing Bobbles up to go on a reasonably hot babyface run, but on the other hand, Price is Right losing horn sound effect. The WrestleMania 38 match is probably the worst one, Omos dominating Lashley to a severe lack of crowd response, because Omos still doesn't quite carry himself with enough power, precision, swagger to sell his offense as being actually devastating. I understand why these matches exist. Hoss matches more than have their place. Gunther and Sheamus say hello and Jahwich respectively, but only when the stuff looks like it actually hurts. And it doesn't look like it hurts when Omos hits people. Number 3, Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey, Survivor Series. Hello, Ronda, lovely to see you again. If you're looking for a clear example about how Ronda Rousey probably isn't yet ready to lead a match, look no further than this. I'm not saying this to be a shit person. Ronda has had some very good matches. She is a star, but leading a match, that particular skill is super hard, especially when the crowd have turned on you to the extent that the crowd have turned on the baddest woman on the planet. With people no longer reacting to every single thing that Rousey does, her matches have become weird and a bit awkward, and this is the weirdest one and the most awkward. Most of the spots in Shotzi Rousey crash and burn. That ring apron DDT thing makes you want to look away whispering, oh no, into your hands. Shotzi's taken a real kicking from the IWC after Money in the Bank also saw a couple of her spots not pan out, so don't really want to lay in any more kicks, but yeah, this was a rough watch. Number 2, both Rumbles, Royal Rumble. But hey, at least Shotzi versus Ronda was short. This year, both Rumbles were fucking long and fucking boring. And up until a recent redraft, the Rumbles were joint number 1 on this list because the Royal Rumbles are my favorite match. And how dare you make them boring, WWE? How fucking dare you? The Women's Rumble is fairly bad, especially considering that Ronda's surprise return was largely blown thanks to so-called wrestling journalists like so-called Sean Ross Sapp, you bastard. But the Men's Rumble is absolutely dire. The surprises were Bad Bunny, who's been in WWE recently, Johnny Knoxville, which was admittedly fine, and Shane McMahon, whose return to the company was so that he was sent home. The men's match is just so flat. You spend the entire hour plus waiting for something to happen, and then nothing does unless you count Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin eliminating AJ Styles, leaving you with this horrible sinking anxiety that the last thing we truly loved in Vince's WWE, the Royal Rumble match, maybe that had lost its magic too. There's one consolation. Surely this means the first Rumbles under Triple H's rule will have to be even better. They'll have even more to prove, right? Right? And number 1, The New Day versus the Brawling Brutes, WrestleMania 38. This match. The Rumbles were dull. This is truly insulting. Now, to be clear, no one should be angry at Ridge Holland for the botched belly-to-belly suplex that broke Big E's neck on SmackDown back in March. Accidents are an unfortunate byproduct of wrestling. However, how fucking ever, with that heartbreaking injury fresh in everyone's minds, with it being a very real possibility that Big E might never wrestle again, to play a recap of that injury before the match on the WrestleMania stream, for the New Day to come down to the ring at WrestleMania with Big E-style singlets, and then to have New Day lose in less than 2 minutes, genuinely fuck you. Zero reaction when the Brutes won, except bleak anger and empty sadness. What was the fucking point? Change your fucking plans. Give New Day a ceremonial win that Big E can watch from home, you relentless assholes. Talk about leaving the sourest possible taste in your mouth. This almost single-handedly spoiled what was otherwise a fun and silly WrestleMania. Fuck this match. And that's our list. Merry Christmas. It really ended angrily, didn't it? But hey, doesn't every Christmas? What's been your least favorite pay-per-view match of the year? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around if you enjoyed it. And make sure you're subscribed to partsFUNknown in the new year for more silly wrestling content throughout 2023. Merry Christmas, everyone, and jam that jam.